Jesse. All right, so let's get started. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for signing in. We are going to get started to respect your time. Today's agenda is going to be, our share topic is looking at those DS resources for STAAR. Just so you know what we have to offer, you can pick and choose what is useful to you, but we want you to see what they look like and where to find them. Our learn topic for today is data analysis. So for today, we're going to go through our reports and look at specific data in this mock data set that we have for you. You would apply this same strategy or strategies, right? These same strategies to your own data once they've tested. Some on the on screen right now have tested already, some haven't, and stuff like that. So we're going to do a mock set, especially for FERPA purposes and things like that. We don't want to share real names, right? And then we'll have Q&A as we go along. Don't wait till the end if you have questions, and we'll have our prize drawing. So our share topic for today is our dynamic science STAAR resources. So we're going to share this in the chat. You can also get the QR code if you want, but I like to see it in my on my screen or right on my computer. So we're going to put that in the chat. And within these dynamic science resources, let me go back to slideshow. Oops, let me click on that, sorry. You're going to have access to all of our resources. The resources we're going to look at a little closer. If you scroll down just a little bit, it says STAAR. So this is a living document, and we've been adding things as we tweak them, as we create them, etc. So go down to the STAAR section of that document, and you will see different items there. The biggest one that has a lot of these in one place is going to be the STAAR Readiness Practice Test Teacher Guide. Within this teacher guide, you'll have the protocol, you'll have the PLP progress monitoring, the flow chart. So a lot of these live here, and I'm going to open that up so you can see what that looks like. Go ahead, Tony. Tony did a lot of this work for you guys to make it as
So
easy
we've
as
at the top
possible.
we have the updates from last year. We've already gone over those updates in previous sessions, so we're not, but it's organized into things you need to do before the test, everything from including applying the accommodations. Those include your slide decks and videos to teach your kids how to use the accessibility toolbar and how to use the accommodations. So those are already the decks are made for you. If you just rather show the video, you could show the video during the tests, how to assign the test, how to assign it in Spanish. There's a slide deck that you could choose to use when you're administering it, a reminder about the avalanche feature and how it works, and then how to reopen the test when kids need to finish it or make it up. After the tests, how to get to your reports for Spanish test takers, how to grade the short constructed response, how to get to the STAR test practice, STAR test rationales, because just like the state, we have a rationale document for our test as well. And then how to analyze your data. That's what we're going to focus on today. And then underneath analyzing your data is a review plan that you could use to schedule out your review time. What is it going to look like? When am I doing a small group? When am I doing a whole group? How am I spiraling things? So we have tried to support you from soup to nuts, everything you need from administering the assessment all the way through analyzing your data and supporting your students based on that data.
So we're not going to go through these links together. We just want to make sure that you're aware that this support is there for you. As always, you can always contact us if you have specific questions, etc. A lot of you may still be at the beginning, not yet have administered the test. It's okay. Some of you may have data already, so you'll be more in this red section of after the test. Any level that you're at, it'll have that info for you linked directly, and it'll take you to that section with screenshots, info, etc. So everything you need is there for anything STAAR for teachers. How do y'all feel about it? Is there something you like about it? Are you excited to try something? You can kind of scroll through it. I see some people in the document. Do you have any questions on what you see? Everyone okay? if we move on, if you have questions, you may ask. You can search through it, look through it. If you have questions, we are here to answer them. And if you don't, we will continue. Do you see anything, Tony?
Oh, there's nothing in the chat. No
All
hands
right.
raised.
Okay, so I'm going to exit out of here. Again, we have other resources here as well, and we're always updating it. So that's something for you to keep. Today we focus on the STAAR section. Now we're going to go into our learn topic, which is what a lot of you came for, right? Data analysis. And so this again is going to go with some mock data. So that way you can see what each report is for, what is the purpose of the report, and how can I get that plan together for my review. I'm going to put this in the chat as well. This is a protocol that we're going to be using. We're going to go step by step with you so you can know how to fill it out. We're going to fill it with some fake data, but you will be filling this out. It will force you to make a copy. So if you can grab that copy, I am putting that in the chat.
And if you are going to use it with your real data after this session, you'd make a copy for each section of students that you have because your data is all portioned by each section of student that you teach.
And I'm going to share this as well. It's mock data. So this will have the reports in the order that we're going to be looking at them. You will need both items. So if you can get your copies of each of those, the protocol and the mock data, we'll be looking at that next. And you can just give a quick thumbs up when you're ready. This is what the
Thank you,
protocol
Lana.
looks like once you force a copy. We're going to go one row at a time so you can know how to use it. And then right here, the mock data is going to be the reports in the order that we're going to cover them. Is everyone good to go? I think so. Tony, go ahead. I'm going to click it for you.
Thank you. Okay, so a- after you've given the practice test, right? I've given a practice test. First thing I want to do is I want to see what my scores were like. So we're going to access that report. We're going to ask ourselves some questions on that data protocol. Are there kids that still need to finish it? I need to make sure that I schedule time for them to finish it the next day or after school or tutorials, whatever your current procedure is for that. Are there kids who need to make it up because they were absent? I have to keep up with that. And if I gave the test in Spanish, do I need to schedule myself some time and learn how to score the Spanish short constructed responses. The English ones, your AI score, the Spanish ones still have to be scored by the teacher. So let's look at the first test. So would you pull up your practice test data? That is data set number one. We're going to pull up that as well. And let's see what's on that report, right? This is the first report I'm going to as a teacher because for my class, it's going to show me in that first column the initial score, the short constructed response score, and their total score, their performance level, how they did on each strand. And if they started their PLP, what percentage of their PLP is finished? So
This is a downloaded version. We would suggest keep it live, but just for this mock data, so everyone has the same data set, that is why we downloaded it. You can always download it, but this is a live report because as they're working on that personalized learning plan, the progress bar does move for you right here. And the progress bar and the student name will be hyperlinked to their plan, and you can see their scores there. So for this purpose, we downloaded it just so you could have some data, but I'm showing you the live version of what you would see. In order to get to your specific data once it's time, I'm going to show you really quickly. You go under courses, under that STAAR review section, under the reports button. So that's where you'll find your specific data. Again, for today's training, we are going to use the mock data, but whenever you apply it to yours, it'll have all your reports here on the left-hand side. And right now we're on the first one, practice test and PLP progress. If I want to go into my students' plan, I can click on the bar and it takes me to that plan. I can also click on that student's name and it takes me to that plan. Either one.
You can also click on the total score, and that's going to take you to the student's test. And you can
Yes.
see all their answer choices, and you can see their short constructed response answer as
So
well.
if I click on total score, again, like Tony said, you can see everything they responded. So that's why we say don't really download it, right? We want you to use it live so that way you can have those clickable links. Also, if you tested in Spanish, you would go into the total score, go to that SER, and that's how you're going to score the Spanish. This is only for fifth grade. Fifth grade is the only one with the Spanish option. Is there anyone online right now that teaches fifth grade or that gave the test in fifth grade Spanish? Because we can show you now how to do that. And it doesn't look like it. All right, then we don't have to worry about it at the moment. But again, you can go into their whole entire test for that child. If you want to see what they wrote in their SER or SERs for secondary, you would go in there and scroll through it. So this part is live. These don't change, okay? Just letting you know. Let me go back to the data. So looking at our mock data set, what are some things that we notice? One of the purposes of this is to make sure all of our students have tested. Have all of our students tested? No.
No,
How do we
right?
know? No. How do we know that they haven't tested?
Because it's blank.
Yeah, right here.
Now, I noticed on mine, I picked up my reports and I saw
Mhm.
several, but all of my kids tested. Did they just not submit at the end? Is that why it's blank?
Oh, that
That could be a
absolutely could be the case.
possibility.
Okay,
So,
so it did save all their answers, right? They just need
Yes.
to submit. Okay.
so I would
So they
double
all
check that
took it.
tomorrow with them. Yes. So I
Right.
would double check that tomorrow with them.
Okay.
Uh, did you have any that tested in Spanish?
I didn't, but Miss Vela
Okay.
did. Hmm.
Okay. So they should have been able to submit it also, and they will get in Spanish, they'll get everyone will get an initial score and a total score. The initial score is the score without the SER. The total score is the score with the SER. So for those that tested in Spanish, since it is hand scored, this won't be there until they're done, right? Hand scoring it. It won't be updated until they're ready with that SER score. What other things do we notice here? What are some trends across the strands? Possibly the performance levels? What else? What other kind of data can we pull from this? How would you use this report to help drive instruction in your classroom?
Well, you can group them by uh, how they did. So tell me again, I know red is did not meets,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Pink
red
is,
approaches.
uh-huh.
So red is did not meets. That fuchsia kind of pinkish color is approaches. Here, blue is meets and green is masters.
Oh, okay.
I know
Okay.
that always tricks me up. In my head, blue is masters all the time, but here in the
Okay.
reports, blue is meets, green is masters. So you can
Mhm.
kind of see at a glance, how did my kiddos do per strand, which are the reporting categories, right? Like you said, you can group them. You can
Uh-huh.
see overall how many are approaches meets masters, right? Just like that at one glance. Like
Right.
we said, here we had 3 people that have not tested. We need to make sure. Or if you know they all tested, why aren't they showing up? It could have been that they did not submit, right? Things like that. We can
I can
also,
scroll down.
again, go
I
ahead,
can look at
Tony.
my short constructed response to say there are not as many twos as I would like to have, maybe.
Yeah. Uh, as they start working on their plan, their individual PLP, that progress bar, like I showed you here, is going to be live. So that way you can see how far along are they, right? Are they where they need to be? How come one's at 100% and one's at 3? What's going on, right? So those are conversations you can have with your kiddos. Any ahas or takeaways? I would put them in groups according to strands, approaches means perfect. So that's what we want you to start thinking of, right? Looking at data, how can I utilize this report? What would be that purpose? Is everyone feeling okay with what they saw in that practice test and PLP report?
Okay, I have a question. I have a
Mhm.
student that is out of town, and so he's the only one that hasn't taken it. Can he still take it next week? Because he's going to be out tomorrow as well.
Yes, as long as that window is open, just check with your admin for that. They have a testing window. As long as it's not closed, they can test. And if it is closed, admin or you can reopen that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Ms. Abernathy. You joined us later. If you look in the chat, you'll see three links that are pertinent: the sign-in link, a mock data link, and a data protocol link. Those are the three links you need to be where we're at. And please feel free to chat if you have any questions.
All right. So some of you already started sharing. What instructional moves would you make according to this data, right? Elena already said I would put them in groups according to strands or approaches, meets, or masters. So what other instructional moves could we have done or can we do with that practice test and PLP report? How can we use it to drive instruction? Elena shared one. Anybody else with something different that they thought of? Because this is where we can learn from each other as well with teachers across Texas. You don't just have to learn from Tony and I. We're here to support each other. And if you think of something later, you can unmute or put it in the chat. Go ahead, Tony. Next.
So next up, we're going to look at our student distribution report, and those are the guiding questions that you'll see on your protocol. The student distribution report looks like this. That's report number 2 in your data. It looks like this. And I don't know about you, but I love this report because it would take hours to create if you did it by hand. And I would love to have this particular data that we're seeing on the screen. These were adults, our coworkers that took the test. They all wanted to do well. So, and one thing that's noticeable there, and these cut scores were last year's cut scores. Go ahead, you can go to the.
Yeah. So here it is going to be 1, 2, 3, number 4. So number 4 is the student distribution report. I would click on that one. And then this is a little more realistic as for children, right? We may not see, unfortunately, everyone in the masters. It will be most likely, not always, but most likely a little heavier in the did not meets approaches categories. But that's what this data is for. So we can move them from one proficiency to the next.
Absolutely. So look at your data protocol for the second line. The second line is your student distribution report.
Let me go
Review
really quickly
those
right here.
guiding questions there, right? How many students are at each level? How are you going to support each student? And identify what
Uh-huh.
action steps you would take for those, what would be your instructional moves based on that data.
So think of what am I doing for approaches and did not meets? What am I doing for my master's kiddos, right? So I'm going to project it again or
And
share
what else
that
does that
screen.
data tell you? Does that data tell you anything else that would be helpful in conversations with individual students?
So I'm going to share it on my screen so that you guys can see it. Or if you're looking at your own data, that's fine too, right? What are those instructional moves that you guys could be utilizing this data for and with? You can unmute, you can type in the chat, however you want to share. What's an aha or a concern, right? So looking at the data set, number 2, student distribution report that I have on my screen, who would I need to target with extra time, like to tutoring, Saturdays, small groups?
Pull out
Who
all the
would be
stops.
those students? Yeah, who are the ones that I really need to give additional instructional support to versus who are the ones I need to keep at or above, and how could we do that?
Look at your approaches column in this data and look at those students. What kind of conversations would you have specifically with those approaches students, especially Katie and Luke? How close they
How
are to
close?
meets. Thank
Yeah,
you,
they're
Alana.
like
Yes,
one
they are so
question.
close to meets, right? They're probably one question away from meets, right? So that if they're a question away from meets, they can go right through meets to masters, right? I want my kids to shoot for the moon. They are super close. Do we have anybody else that's close to bumping up another performance level? I haven't looked yet.
And every grade band has different
Cut scores.
scores. Every grade band has different cut scores. So these are specific to eighth grade, right? Fifth grade will have different scores, bio will have different scores.
Luke, thank you, Sherry. He is close to hitting the next level. And
Oh my
double
gosh, I
digit.
like that you said that. Look how close Lily is to masters. So she scored a 69 and masters is at greater or equal to 76. So maybe just
Yeah.
a few questions, maybe an SER, right? Those are the things that you can use the other report to see what they scored, what they answered in the test itself. And you can see, man, you're one SER question away. Let's practice SERs, right? Let's make sure that you're really good about it. I love it. Thank you, Sherry. Those talks boost confidence for sure. This helps with that goal setting. This is what I'm projected. If no intervention happens whatsoever, this will most likely be the outcome. If you don't want this to be the outcome, especially over here, what are we going to do about it? Right? Having those conversations with kiddos. And if you're over here, we need you to stay over here. What are you going to do about that? How are you going to maintain that? Any other ahas or questions based on uh, uh sorry, for this report, not based on. So again, this is the student distribution report on your teacher reports. It is number 4. This is mock data, so we have it separate. You can always download it. This one does not change. I know a lot of teachers ask, as students start working on their PLP and stuff, will this change and move their proficiency levels? It does not. It is one and done after they take that practice test. But those are some suggestions that we can take back to our team as suggestions from teachers across Texas, because a lot of people have asked that.
Welcome, Ms. Gonzalez. I put 3 links in the chat that you'll need to join us.
Hi, Miss Nancy.
The first is the sign-in, and then we're using a data protocol, and we're using some mock data. All of those links are in the chat for you, ma'am.
Hi.
Well,
All right.
y'all ready to look at the
Yeah.
next report?
Yes. How are you guys feeling so far on the first 2 reports? Using mock data, would you be able to apply that knowledge to your own data? Or if you're looking at your own data, have you already found some ahas and, oh my gosh, this is what I need to really hit with my kids?
With your own data, you know the story behind the numbers, and sometimes you get some great success stories, right? You've tested a kid who has struggled or a kid that has worked really hard and maybe has overcome some challenges and they've done really well. You uncover some fabulous stories.
What are some of those instructional moves that you can do using this data? Let me project that again or share that screen again. What are some of those instructional moves you can do for Katie, for Luke, for Nia, for all these people that you're like, they're so close, right? Nia had a little bit more to go, but what could you do for Nia or students like Nia? at the admin level, at the teacher level, in a support level? What are some of those instructional moves that we can do?
I see Nancy talk about grouping in the chat. Thank you, Nancy.
Some people at districts like group by quintiles and things like that. We could group students like that and then go down, high-low groups, and then have specific targets for those high versus low groups, right? I like that. See where the bright spots are first. Always start with positivity, right? We need some good news, and then we can break it down to some of the other news that we need to work on. So, what are the strengths, right? Right here, we have Katie, one question, probably 1 to 2 questions away. What are those strengths that we can definitely build on? And then what are some things we can tweak?
Yeah, Katie is one that I'm going to want to go back through her test with her, right? She's 1 or 2 questions away. It could have just been something super simple. And once I point that out to her, she's good. She is good to go. She's not gonna she's gonna definitely bump up to the next one. Something else I like to consider is what I don't like for my kids to feel like small groups are for kids who just don't get it. So I always pull less, much less occasionally, but I'll pull my master's group and I will give them an option of working on something from our practice and extend section, right? Just to break up their PLP. My other kids they're being pulled for different small groups. My master kids are probably not being pulled for small groups for intervention. This gives them, first of all, an option to work in a small group and an option to work on something to break up their PLP time. And it says to my class, everybody does small groups. It doesn't mean that you're not smart or not good. Everybody needs small groups.
And how do
Ooh, I
we
like,
access, I'm sorry, how do we
yeah.
access that practice and extend?
Yes, I will show you right on the screen. Give me 1 second. I'm going to answer 2 questions in the chat. So thank you, Elena. This is not a question, but she said, uh, find the bright spots and then focus on those that she is close on, tackle those, right? And then tackle others. I like Sherry. Thank you for sharing. I spend bell work time on those areas as well, right? Warm-ups, exit tickets, bell work time, advisory periods, anytime like that. There was a question in the chat about the PLP. So the PLP, the way it works, it's auto-generated after the students take the test, and it orders the activities based on the students' needs. It will give them what their weakest reporting category or strand is first to their strongest. So let's just say I was really terrible at life science. I'm going to get that first, and then matter and energy, and then force, motion, energy, then earth and space, if that was my order of weaknesses and strengths. Whereas Tony's might be earth and space first, and et cetera, et cetera. So everyone's PLP will vary just depending on how they did on that practice test. It gives them their weakest first, and then it goes to their strongest area.
Additionally, students who are scoring at do not meets or approaches, the system will pull some lower grade level content to help them close gaps, right? At the master's level, I'm going to get a lot of review and refresh and practice. At the did not meets level, I'm going to get more intervention, some more lower grade level work to get me up to my 5th grade, 8th grader biology level.
Sherry, may you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by students repeating?
Yes, they were really, I mean, I thought they were going to have a difficulty in wanting to, or, not be motivated to do the PLPs, but I like an award system for them, and, if you reach this much, then you get to pick a treat, or whatever from that week. So they were kind of motivated through the classroom, but they kept telling me, and I really felt like I couldn't see what they were doing in that, but they would tell me I'm having to repeat it when I already did this, and I thought I did fine on it, but now it's giving it to me again. And I thought, well, maybe it's because, there's something there that you needed to look at again or something. I'm not, do you know what I'm saying? Does
I
it need
do,
to
and
be?
here's the reason I think that's happening. So the test is prescriptive. It is completely based on the practice test. It does not look and say, oh, they did good on this. They don't need to do this. right? If they
Gotcha.
did poorly on it, it might put it in there 2 or 3 times. It doesn't know that on the first one they did well, I'm going to take away the second one. It doesn't make changes to that plan
Yeah.
while they're in it. So that's
It
why
is
you're
not
seeing that.
adaptive to what they're currently doing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Once
That
they
makes
take the
sense now.
test, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to say, like anything, practice makes perfect. So just seeing it one time and doing it, maybe they're showing it to you in a different way to see how you do that time, so, okay.
Oh, yeah, correct. And now, and I still haven't forgotten about the extensions. Now we have that Classcade piece. So if you have not enabled Classcade yet, it's a way for students to earn the coins. So not just giving them snacks, right? Like save yourself a little bit of money, and they can do the games for the motivation. And we've seen an increase in usage across Texas already. And science just opened up.
I've been using it. I will tell you, my sixth graders love it. My eighth graders, they're scattered, different ones, they're like,
Yeah.
eh. So,
It depends.
but
I would
yeah,
like it as a grown up. It also, you need to know that they get the higher their grade, the more coins they earn. So it's not just did you finish it, did you finish it and do well. Even if you do poorly, you're going to get some coins, but you're at the bottom end. If you do well, you get the top end. The quizzes run from what, 25 coins to 200, Jessica? Is that right?
Yes. Yes. And so maybe with those eighth graders, you can incentivize them with some snacks and save yourself some money for all grade levels. Really quickly before moving on, I know someone asked, where can we find those extension activities we're talking about? So in your courses, you have access to our Blue Buttons teacher resources. In the Blue Buttons teacher resources, we have extensions in every standard, right? So it just depends what standard you're working on. I'm just going to use this first one as an example because it's the first one, right? Without scrolling through, let me click on that lesson guide. This is where you have everything linked for the lessons. If I scroll towards the bottom, after all the investigations, let me scroll a little bit more. There's the apply and extend or practice and extend. So these are more project-based. You can see there's phenomena. This one's the closing of phenomenon. This one has one, apply and extend. Some of them have multiple options that you can choose from. It just depends on the standard that you're deciding to work with. And then everything is linked here. So if I need what kind of project this is, I can click on it. You can see this takes about 2 days. So as students are working on PLP, you can have your meets masters kiddos work on PLP for a certain amount of time. You pull small groups. Okay, you worked on it for 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever you want to tell them. Okay, now do your project, right? Like give them something else to do so they are still doing the individualized instruction because they still need it, but then they can also do some project-based learning, make it a little more engaging. Because I know sometimes those are the students that tend to get a little bored quicker, right? And so we can give them that other option of those extensions. And again, it's under the lesson guide. You kind of scroll to the bottom and it either says apply and extend or practice and extend. Thank you for asking. Thank you for sharing. Any other
So
questions?
it's not something that we assign, it's something they do, like it's a hands-on.
Yes,
Okay.
that one is a hands-on activity, right? These are going to be downloadable, printable type of options because they're more hands-based. Here at the top, I'm going to go back to my courses. Any of these, a lot of these are going to be assignable digitally. So if you use this as a supplement, you may have not used these items and you can pull from there and extend their learning. If you use this as a core adoption, you may have a little less leeway on that because I'm sure you've used it from the beginning of the year to now, right? So it just depends the kind of access and things like that. But you can always pull from these and there's an assign button and you can assign it to your students and they can work on it in stations or extensions. These are digital. These resources are not. These are hands-on. Good questions. Thank you for asking. Anybody else with questions before we go to the next report? Everyone okay? All right. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Send me something. How are you guys feeling so far on the first few reports? You can send an emoji or in the chat.
Okay.
Nancy's flying out of here.
All I see are happy emojis and
Good.
reactions. The next report we're going to look at is the third item in your data set folder is the class STAAR review plan. And this is what it looks like live, and it will allow you to sort. So you could sort that mastery column, so it could be low to high or high to low. You could also sort your reporting and your readiness so that all your reporting is at the top and um, all of your readiness is at the top and all of your supporting is at the bottom. So then you can see where you really need to focus for that class. Clearly, this data, 0% on B11B. I need to do a whole class reteach on that. But when I look at B9B, 50%, I'm not going to make all 100% of my kids sit through a whole class lesson. That's going to be small group. So, Jessica, you want to show us what that looks like live? Or
Yes. So this report will help you determine what is going to be whole group reteach, what is going to be small group reteach, or maybe it's just spiraling in that type of skill over and over. If it's a higher percentage, right? You may not need small group or whole group, but just bringing it back to them every now and then, keeping it fresh. So let me switch over. So on your reports, this one is the last option, the class STAAR review plan. That's your last option on your own reports. And like Tony said, it is sortable. So as you can see, I can sort them by categories. Right here, it can go from 4 to 1, 1 to 4. I can sort them by standards, 7th grade, then 8th grade, or vice versa. I can sort them by types. I can, right now they're all mixed. I can put readiness all first and then supporting, or vice versa. And then I can also sort them by mastery. So I can have high to low. I can get some positivity in my life first. They did really well with this. And then these are things that I might need small groups for. And over here, oh my goodness, I need to reteach these somehow, some way, somewhere, right? So that way, it just depends on the view you want to see. So they are sortable live in the document that you have over here. Let me go to my mock data. This one was downloaded, so it's a little different, right? It won't be sortable, but just know it is sortable on your live document. Question in the chat, would you use the apply and extend for only meets and master students, or would it be appropriate for did not meets or approaches? So for me, it just depends on what you're going to give them the project for. It's beneficial for all students. We can extend learning for all. I would not give them one of those extension activities like the apply and extend on a standard that they're struggling with. Of, like I would give them something that it's a strength of. Because, for example, if I was a did not meet student and you gave me a project for a standard I really bombed, it's not going to help my learning. It's not going to extend my learning. It's going to probably make me more frustrated for that standard. Whereas if you gave me a project-based activity for something I did like or I did well in, then I could kind of flourish with it a little bit more. If you're talking about these activities up here, the digital ones, these are for anyone at any point. Does that make sense? And you can give them what they need when they need it. You're welcome. Any other questions? That's a great question, because as we're looking at reports, you're also kind of thinking, what am I going to use to do this, right? What are those resources? So great questions as we're going through it. So looking at the data set, what would I be doing with my did not meets, approaches, meets, and master students? Which standards would we be covering whole group reteach? Tony made it easy for you guys. He sorted it out. Right? Thank you, Tony. And you can unmute. You don't have to type. It's quite a bit of standards, right? But for sure, whole group reteach. Growth assessments it is a little off topic, but I will address it, right? Growth assessments is an additional purchase. We have them for third to high school. And so you may not have it if it was not purchased.
Some districts use that for TIA purposes.
Yes, you're welcome, Sherry. Thank you, Helen. So she said 810A, 711A, 77B, 88A. For sure, everything in red needs to be a whole group reteach. Could I prioritize some over the others first? And if so, which ones would I prioritize? Or would I not?
Would it be the 8.10A?
And why?
Or that's readiness?
Exactly, right? Readiness standards are always tested by TEA, always. Supporting, they pick and choose. Do they need supporting to help with that readiness? Yes, definitely. That's why they're called supporting standards, right? It's going to help build that content for that readiness. But especially if you're in a time crunch, right? We got to pick and choose and prioritize, or maybe a few extra days on the readiness and a certain amount of days on supporting. So that's why it all depends on your time frame of your plan. So just knowing that, okay, let's prioritize. So that's a good thing about this report is you can order them from readiness to supporting and see how many readiness standards are read, because that's going to be a huge priority, right? Because those will be tested.
When is the best time to start doing the review?
I wish it
Especially
would-
when the testing is in April. For us, it's going to be in the third week of April, I believe.
Ideally, we recommend that our partners give your students 6 weeks to complete their PLP. Now, that may not be realistic for everybody. The test is just open, and we have many districts that are already testing or will test very soon. It also depends, Nancy, when will you be scheduled to be done with Tier 1 instruction? Will it go all the way up to the test? If it goes all the way up to the test, then it's kind of a moot point when you do it. You don't want to do it too early because then you're not going to have enough Tier 1 instruction. You don't want to do it too late because if you do it too late, then you don't have enough time to close gaps. My personal opinion is I would not wait till after spring break to do it. My personal opinion, I would not do it any later than the week before spring break. But I feel like if you wait till after spring break, you're not going to have enough time. But then I also don't know what you're doing, right? There are some districts that may do 2 weeks or 3 weeks where we do nothing but STAAR prep. Well, then that could look different. So there are many factors in it. Each student has enough work to keep them busy roughly for 30 hours. So in an ideal world, which I know we don't have, you'll have 30 hours from students will have 30 hours from when you give the assessment to when they have to take the test.
We say the sooner the better. It's opened already for fifth, eighth bio. The sooner the better. That way they have time in the plan. You can still do tier 1 and still have some time in the plan, a little small group here and there, and then you can use it a little bit more the closer you get, right? And also you can see the data already. The sooner you can see the data, the better instructional decisions teachers will make with their children. And we're going to go into the Student TEKS Mastery Report. So this is one of our favorites. This one was created because teachers asked for it. So we listen. Think of reports that would be beneficial to you, share it with us, and then we will tell our team. So this one looks like this. This is going to be broken down by standard per child. So once I've used the class mastery report, the class review plan, I'm sorry, once I've used that one to determine what's going to be whole group standards versus small group standards, I can now pull my kiddos for those standards in the small group. I can use it for small group for tutoring after school or Saturdays versus small group during class as well. I can differentiate those. So this is by standard. This one is going to be found number 2 right here on the teacher's list. And so a lot of teachers ask for this, and you can see it's really nice already. So what are some things that you can use this for? I know I gave you too many suggestions probably first, but think about those instructional moves that you can use this data for with your students. And share what you think, share what you like, any ahas. This one is going to be, oh, I love it, Miss Arbuckle, small group instruction, definitely. This one's number 4 on the data set. If you don't have data yet, you can practice with our data set, number 4. If you have your own data, I know people prefer to see their own scores, right? So either way. At a glance, I see here 77B. Oh my goodness, a lot of kiddos need that one, right? Whereas here, 89A, man, they really got it. I just need to meet with Nia, but everyone else is good to go. 10A, I think that was one we noticed earlier, right? That readiness standard 10A, crucial. We really need to get that in a whole group reteach. So what instructional moves would you make according to that data, to that report? Ms. Arbuckle mentioned small groups. What else could you use it for, if anything else?
You can probably use like a rotation, have stations set up and have the activity, have the question that matches with the activity and just have them rotate and go around. And then have the teacher center to really help them understand what they learned in all the stations.
Yeah, so you can hit multiple teaks in one day, right? Especially if you're in a time crunch. That's a good suggestion. Having station rotations with different standards that you're covering, you can do that. Any other instructional moves or things that you're thinking about right now?
I'm looking at my data and I tried downloading the report and I couldn't. Is it something that I just need to get with my
What kind of error
technology
message are you getting when
department?
you click that download button, Mary?
I'm sorry?
What kind of message are you getting when you click the download button?
Let me do it again. It's been a while. Let me see. Uh, okay, sorry. Let me get it again.
Okay.
No problem. The last report before we close out is called the item analysis report. At the moment, if you're looking at your own data, there was a bug happening and they're tweaking that, especially in the 5th grade one, at least we know for sure from number 9 on, it wasn't giving correct numbers. So they're fixing that at the moment. But if you're in 8th in bio, it should probably work. We do know the issue was in 5th grade. But in the meantime, this report is meant for you to look for patterns. How did students do specifically? Oop, let me go back to it. How did students do specifically on that question? This is going to be by question, by item. This is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one, we like this one live versus downloaded because it is going to, you're going to be able to click on the number so you can see the question, what was asked for that question. Sorry, let me exit. And then you'll be able to hover over the answer choices so that way you can see directly what the choice was. Instead of going back into the test, right, and scrolling and all of that, you could easily at a glance, how did my kiddos do? Here, 89% were correct. Okay, what was the other option that they kind of messed up on? And let me look at that small group, sorry, the TEKS report, hit that misconception with those kiddos, right, for that question. But in the distribution, like let's just say this one right here, number 3, 44% got it correct. 11% chose choice 2, 0 choice 3. 22% choice four, like things like that, where they start getting distributed a little too much. It's like, why? What is the issue? Is it vocabulary? Is it the image? Is it the stimulus, right? So you can click on it and it opens up that question. What could it have been that they were struggling with? Sometimes if they're 50-50, it might be vocab, right? A word, the way it's phrased, something like that. If they're spread across the board, then they were totally confused. It may be the content they're confused about, or it may be the item type. So maybe they weren't comfortable with drag and drops or inline choice responses, etc. Or maybe it was the SER, right? Something like that. Thank you, Elena. She said you can use the low questions for warm-ups and have students discuss it, maybe without the choices. I love it. I love not giving them the options and letting them think about it and really analyze the stimulus, right? Because sometimes they may get it wrong just because they overlook something because they're not analyzing the visuals or the stimuli. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, I have the message now when I tried
What are you
downloading.
getting, Mary?
It's saying select an app to open this
Okay, so
Excel.
you have to have, it's going to download that as an Excel document. So you have to have Excel, or you have to upload that file to Google Drive and open it in Sheets.
Okay, Google Drive.
Yeah, my Excel messes up all the time. So when you go to Google Drive, you put new document, and then you can put it in there, and it changes it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So, how are you guys, one, feeling about the reports? Quick check-in. These are the resources again, in case you didn't get them at the beginning. Do you think you can take this back to and apply it to your own data and know how to analyze each report to get what you need out of them?
Yes,
And
there's a lot to work with, and I like that we have a variety of ways to analyze our data and work with our kids. So I'm excited, but I need to play around with it this weekend and see and try to organize my groups.
well,
Yes, it takes some time, right? Like it takes time, especially if you teach multiple class periods. You're going to need some time to break down the data per class period. You can possibly see some trends across all of your class periods and really hit that in warm-ups and stuff like that. Thank you, Elena. She said she's going to share with her middle school science teachers so they can use it at full capacity. Super excited for the STAAR plan. Definitely. When you guys are thinking of putting this together in a plan, if you need support, Tony and I are here for you to look at your specific data, especially if you haven't tested just yet. We're there for you if you have any questions, if you need additional support. Any big takeaway that you may have, or a next step, or a resource that you liked that you will carry forward. And as you do that, make sure you've signed in. We're going to do the Yeti giveaway before we finish for today. Thank you again for joining us on a Thursday afternoon after work. We know it's not the easiest, but tomorrow's Friday, so that always makes it better. I hope y'all didn't get too crazy of weather or anything wherever you guys are at. I know the weather hasn't been the best lately.